Okay, new activity means we've got a new purpose statement. So how is this activity going to prepare us for our embedded assessment? Okay, we know our ultimate goal when we finish this first half of the unit is to write an expository essay. We know as of right now we still have two options of the writing of the essay. One option is to write a compare and contrast analysis of a dystopian society versus modern day society. Our second option is to write about Jonas, the protagonist of the story, his hero's journey that takes place in the story. So this particular activity, it will help with both prompts. The way it's going to help us is it's making us look at the story. Okay, the story is about the idea of a utopia and a dystopia. The story is about a child who is taking part of a hero's journey. So this prompt will help, this activity is going to help us out with either prompts that we have. Okay, now the first thing that we're going to be taking care of with this activity is questioning the text. And you folks have done this before. You did this back in 7th grade. You did it when you were reading Tangerine. Okay, those of you that are here at FES or not, if you used Springboard last year at your school, you read the book Tangerine. And you folks had to work with something called the DEJ, the Double Entry Journal. How many of you remember reading Tangerine? How many of you remember doing a double entry journal? You guys worked with levels of questioning. So on one side of the double entry journal, you were creating questions to help you review the story itself, and then you were answering them with a partner. So what we're doing is a quick review of the levels of questioning. You're going to need a highlighter, so go ahead and grab a highlighter, have it ready. And we're going to briefly go over the levels of questions. I'm going to give you examples of each, and then you're going to create your own based on the story that we read. So can you read right below that subheading, the text that follows right below, Philip? Right below questioning the text, that's shown.
Remember that questioning affects on multiple levels can help you explore its meaning more fully. Read the definitions below and write an example of each type of question based on text you have read in the review.
Awesome. All right, can you read that first bullet point for us, Emily? Okay, so level 1 question, literal. Okay, what does that mean? The answer is in the text itself. It's not a fancy type of answer. It's there. It's black and white. I can find it. So an example of a level 1 question, and notice guys, I'm writing in blue so you're not copying this. An example of a level 1 questioning could be, how old is Jonas? How old is he? Let's see who read the story. How old is Jonas, Will? He's 12. Okay, that's a literal answer. It was in the story itself. So I want you to write a level 1 question about the story by yourself. You've got 1 minute to write your own. So what's a question where the answer is directly in the story? You can pull that answer out. Okay, and that third bullet point. Go ahead and read that third one for us, Alex.
A level 3 question is
The answer is about a concept or a given concept.
Okay, so level 3 question, it's universal. Okay, what does that mean? The answer is from beyond the text. So it's not in the text at all. It's actually something that can be found in the real world. So the question and answer are real world based. So here's an example of a universal question. It talks about something in the book, but it also talks about how it can be applied to the real world. Here's an example. And I'll highlight it so you can read it better too. Okay, so the question that I asked, do kids need to have comfort objects removed? Okay, now why does this tie into the story? How does this question apply to the story itself? Let's see who read. How does this question apply to the story, Nina?
Because Lily has a comfort object.
Yeah, Lily herself has a comfort object, and what is this thing? What is it that provides her comfort, Faisal?
It's a stuffed elephant.
It's a stuffed elephant. Okay? Me personally, I still have a comfort object. I still have a stuffed animal. The thing's over 20 years old and decrepit. I got it. It's a stuffed monkey about yay tall. His name is Mr. Monkey. Very clever, obviously. Okay, but real world, no, I still have this thing. It's hidden in my closet. It's not like I rip it out and sleep with it every night, but it's something that I keep. It's sentimental. All right, now I want you folks to go ahead and create your own universal question. So the question is based off of information in the text, but it can be applied to the real world. Take about 1 minute and develop your own. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next piece of text that is at the bottom of your page. I just have it on a different screen so you can see it a little bit bigger. And you probably noticed I wrote something in blue on the screen. It says, out question, 1114, help. Answer some highlight. We're going to read what is the science fiction genre itself. And the information that we highlight is what you will use to help answer your out question. How is the giver an example of science fiction? Okay, so can you please read that first little smidge of text plus the number 1 for us? Can you go ahead and do that? Ray, can you read that for us?
You will be reading a novel that questions whether the utopian society is possible. Such novels generally fit the genre of science fiction. Read the following text to gather more information about science fiction from readwritelink.org. As you read, highlight the characteristics of science fiction.
Okay, I'm going to have one person read this piece aloud to us, and we're going to highlight as everything is read. So, Mercedes, would you be willing to go ahead and read this definition for us?
Science fiction is a genre of fiction in which the stories often tell about science and how to live in the future. It is important to note that science fiction has a relationship with the physics of science. These works involve partially true, partially fiction, laws, or theories of science. It should not be completely unbelievable rather than surprising because it ventures into the genre of fantasy. The plot created situations different from those of local present day, only known as science fiction, has also included a human element, explaining what effects new discoveries happening in scientific development will have on us in the future. Science fiction texts are often set in the future and based on a different world and a different universe of fantasy. Early pioneers of the genre of science fiction are H.G. Wells, The War of the Worlds, and Jules Verne, 20,000 BC Under the Sea. Some well-known 20th century science fiction texts include 1984 by George Orwell and Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
Excellent, thank you so much. Okay, so that's a really long, drawn-out definition of the genre known as science fiction. Okay, now what you highlighted is the key information about what is this genre and how is it defined. So your all question asks you, why is The Giver an example of science fiction? So when you're getting ready to answer this question, you have to look at what's highlighted. So how does The Giver talk about science and technology in the future? How is The Giver partially true but has partially fictitious laws? How is The Giver not completely unbelievable? How is The Giver set in the future in space or a different world? So you're going to look at some of these highlighted pieces in order to help you define how The Giver is science fiction. So again, you will come back to this passage at the end of the class period when you're getting ready to answer your out. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page, and we're going to move on with our textual analysis.